So I've now just purchased the steering kit for the outboard motor, and we've just started the process of fitting it. So as you can see, we've drilled one hole already in the hull. You can get a little bit of a look in there. It's all hollow luckily, and then we've drilled another hole down here, and these are the rubber grommets we're going to use to just waterproof it a bit. And we've also got another hole there in the center console where the cable will come through, and we've just now drilled the console for the Boss kit up the top to attach the steering wheel. We've still got to add an inspection hatch at the back of this, which I will join onto this video. So I've just drilled the 5-inch hole for the 5-inch inspection port in the back of the center console there. Here's the first tip: just because it says it's 5 inches doesn't mean the hole you need will be 5 inches. That's the lid, which fits perfectly, but the outside of course is a little bit bigger than 5 inches, and of course you can't get a 6-inch hole saw unless you want to spend $75. So now I have to work out some way of widening the circle a little bit so that we can fit this in. I think that's probably going to work out a little bit better anyway, because it's going to give us a nice tight seal, so when I silicone around this it will be quite watertight. So we'll give it a go. Stay tuned. I've got my Dremel tool with a little auger bit on it that we're going to widen the circle a little bit, so I'll give it a go and see how we get on. So here we go, we've got the Boss kit in, and the steering column is in. It wasn't too difficult to do. We did strike some problems in the fact that the Boss kit supplied has 6mm holes, and the nuts required to go into the rotary steering unit are 8mm, so we had to drill those out a bit, which took a little bit longer, but they managed to go in fairly easily once they were drilled out, and we've got that all in now. We can add the chuck key into the little slot there. I don't know if you can see it, and then we can mount the steering wheel. The cables have all been run. As you can see, you can't see them from there because they're on the inside, and they run round to the back, come on out, and then are connected to the steering arm of the steering wheel. So now you can see we've put the steering wheel on, and you can also see that I have a little helper in making this video today. You might hear him a little bit later on, I'm sure. But as you can see, we've got the steering wheel on now. As we turn that, you can see that our motor now turns as well in the right direction. You need to be careful when fitting the cable into the rotary steering column. If you get it round the wrong way, the motor will turn in the opposite direction to the way you want it to go. So just be careful, make sure it goes into the right hole, and it's not a big deal if it does go in the wrong one and you do find that it's going in the opposite direction than it should be, then just swap the cable around. So just check that out before you go ahead and fit the steering wheel. Just makes life a little bit easier. Here you can see is the steering cable. It's just screwing that bolt into the side of the motor, which sticks out through a rod at the other end, and as you can see we've got the steering arm that then clips onto that and bolts in. So it was a fairly simple job. Hardest part was getting the cable through the hull and getting it in the right position. I had to adjust the steering wheel where I'd put the rotary unit a couple of times just to get it in the right spot to fit the cable with the bend. But altogether I think it's come together quite well. You can see it in the grommet. We'll have to push that back in once we've got the other cables coming through, and then that disappears and actually comes down just in the gap of that center console, so you can't actually see it, and then into the steering unit. As you can see, we've got a hole in the back for easy access. You can see the cable running through into our rotary unit. So it's Join us in one of our next videos as we're going to mount the throttle cable, and we're going to have to run the cables on through the hull of the boat to the back, and then also mount them onto the back of the motor.